and why Donald Trump is the worst American president ever. China leads 15 UN committees, while the US only one. America is no longer ready to act as the world's guardian. Welcome to the Coin Post. I know that many of our viewers only shrug when they hear again and again that the US may lose its leading position in the world and then the dollar will lose its status as a global reserve currency. I know what you mean and support you in many ways. Because despite all the troubles and problems with America, its position is still strong, especially with the dollar. But there is one option where Americans lose their status as world leaders, and that is if they have a worthy competitor. I mean, if countries, companies, and ordinary people are given a good alternative, they may well change their preferences. According to The Economist, China could be this alternative. Moreover, they are already working actively to that end, and there's suspicion that Donald Trump is playing along with the Celestial Empire, either deliberately or due to the lack of experience in the fight for the world domination. In this episode, you will learn how China got into the top 1 race in the world, where it has already won a total victory in the US, and why Donald Trump is the worst American president ever. So make sure you get to the end. And if you're somehow not subscribed to the Coin Post, then just click the button and hit the bell to be the first to get the most important news. Let's go! Among those who believe that the US is safe, there are also supporters of the idea that someday China will be strangled by sanctions, return to the Stone Age, and we will forget forever about this country and its ambitions to be at least as equal as the US. Perhaps we should say hi to Stepan Demura for this. I sometimes too watch his videos and even share certain points of view, but when it comes to China, we have our differences, and here's why. We used to think of this country as a place with cheap labor, and so all the world's companies decided to take advantage of it and build their factories there. Now China's salaries are not as small as many would think. Soon all the producers will be packing their factories in suitcases and moving them to India or Mexico, which are much closer. But the Chinese can do little about this except steal technology or fake them badly. I just listed some very well-known stereotypes, and now let's look at the facts. Salaries in China didn't go up yesterday, and Donald Trump started a trade war back in 2018, or before that, please correct me in the comments. But what we see today is that manufacturers are not running away from the Celestial Empire. Elon Musk has actually built a new plant there, and in many ways Tesla stocks are showing such rapid growth precisely because of the success of the Chinese market. As for the technological backwardness, the Chinese authorities are now literally vacuuming qualified experts from Asia and Eastern Europe, offering them accommodation, decent salaries, and the opportunity to move with their families. Or let's take Huawei, which is considered an evil watchdog of the whole world for the good of the party. And even though they lost most of the market due to the spy scandal, their 5G network equipment is actually the best one at a reasonable price. Besides, China has the Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank, which is small but still a competitor to the International Monetary Fund, with the decisive vote of China. They also created their own little NATO, or UN, called the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, and now that India has joined the alliance, it's taken seriously. In general, China doesn't look like a country that might be simply removed from the geopolitical chessboard. Whether you agree or not, I suggest that we discuss this in the comments. In the meantime, I want to talk about some achievements of the Celestial Empire in the fight against the US. After the end of World War II, despite the existing list of winners, it was the United States that became the #1 country, mainly because of its excellent geographical position. I mean, if you fight on foreign soil, you don't have to restore the country from the ruins. It was with America's help that the New World Order was established, and it was called the United Nations, where the US has long been the first violin. But time has passed, the UN now has 193 states, and the US can no longer say it has a say in decisions. Who does then? Over the past 19 years, the US share of UN funding has been 24%, which is pretty high. But over the same period, the Chinese share has gone up from 1 to 12%. And as it grows, China leads 15 UN committees, while the US only one, and the World Bank might be an excuse here. As for decision-making, during the Cold War, the US used its veto power more than any other country. Now, they've done so only 3 times in the last 10 years, while China is the second country to block the UN's unpopular decisions. Only Russia had more veto over the years, and China and Russia often share the same point of view, and thus they managed to internationalize their vision of civil rights and freedoms. And if you don't know, in China, you're not quite the right person if you don't love the Communist Party. And as much as I praise them in the first part of the video, I strongly oppose such initiatives. But who cares about me? The social citizen system is already working in dividing people into classes, restricting the rights and opportunities of those who the authorities feel are not living correctly. Add the increased use of the yuan as a reserve currency and the rapid recovery from the pandemic. So what if there's more to the US's attack on China than just trying to get a lucrative trade deal? And what if the US underestimates its rival? Especially if you look at the American president's action. So I'm moving on to Trump right after you subscribe to our channel. So as promised, I will tell you about Trump's mistake, who is a strong leader in word, but in practice he's losing ground to China. He came to power with the slogan that globalism wouldn't pass and the America would be great again. But does giving up on the international arena and refusing to take part in the global economy actually lead to greatness? It's been suggested that Trump simply cannot or doesn't want to maintain established international relations, and therefore constantly find excuses to withdraw from any arrangement. Thus, the United States is no longer a member of the World Health Organization, has withdrawn from the Paris Agreement on climate change.
How dare you!
Gave up on the nuclear program with Iran, and destroyed the draft of the Trans-Pacific Trade Agreement. Obviously, Trump had his reasons for all these big decisions, but it kinda looks like America is no longer ready to act as the world's guardian. Other countries are afraid of this, as they need a leader, and more they're looking at China. You must understand that China doesn't put world domination as a question yet. However, they're systematically pursuing their own agenda to strengthen international influence. And the more Donald Trump is ignorant of the problems, wanting to sit them out in his own home, the more flexible China is. And who knows how far the Celestial Empire's ambition can stretch, as they may be haunted by the former imperial history too. Share this video with your friends and the people you know if you found it interesting and useful. And that's it for today. Thanks for watching. It's the Coin Post channel. Subscribe and get enlightened.